I want to talk to you today about baby proofing. We have a very active 16-month-old boy, and as soon as he was mobile and exploring, we wanted to make sure that the house was safe. So we bought all the traditional baby proofing paraphernalia, but most of it didn't work, and we felt like it was such a waste of our money. So I'm going to share with you now what we did, what failed, and what methods we've used to make sure that he stays safe, which I think are much better alternatives. So the first thing we did was buy a box full of plug stoppers, those plastic plug stoppers that once you get in, you just can't get out, and they break your nails and they're a pain. Literally within a few days of buying a box full of these things, I read an article from an official body that said these are actually more dangerous than having none at all. And the likelihood of a child being able to electrocute themselves with nothing, just by using their fingers, is so unlikely, almost impossible, because they have to stick the finger in the top one, open up the current in the first place, and then get the finger to the back of the bottom ones in order to get an electric shock. So very, very unlikely. But by using the stoppers, you're opening up the circuit, you're opening up the flow of electric current, and it's more likely to cause a fire or problems. So obviously we got rid of all the plastic stoppers, and in fact Jacob is more interested in the switches on a plug socket than he is in the actual holes. I guess the only worry you would have is them sticking things into the plugs like crayons or whatever, and you not being able to actually use the plugs because they're blocked up with stuff. But I guess you can always take the panel off and clear them out at a later stage. Anyway, moving on. So the next thing we did was to think about our cupboards and our drawers. We didn't want him trapping fingers or getting access to any chemicals or things that he shouldn't be handling. So we bought a whole bunch of these kinds of things. These are stick-on cupboard locks. Use a magnet in order to release it, and that way it means that you don't have to drill into any of your woodwork. Now, these seemed like a great idea. Initially there was about 3 or 4 of them which weren't very easy to open, so when we wanted to access the drawers and cupboards, the magnet thing was a bit of a pain, and yeah, that wasn't fun because you want to be able to get in your cupboards, right? And then we found within a few days most of them, and actually in fact all of them now, fell off. The stick, just with Jacob pulling at them and trying to get in, the stick eventually gave way and he was able to open them just with a little bit of force. So they were completely useless. Instead of worrying about trying to lock the cupboards, what we did instead was to teach Jacob what to do with cupboards and drawers. So most of you might be like, no, don't teach them how to do that, now they'll be in all the drawers and cupboards. But I think if you teach them how to do it safely, they'll get in, they'll get it out of their system. Remove anything from the cupboards that you don't want them to play with. So put your crockery and your breakables a little bit higher, put your pots, pans, Tupperware, things that they can play with lower down. They love that stuff. Obviously put your chemicals somewhere else, or do put a lock on that cupboard. But otherwise, I spent time teaching him that he has to use the handle, literally going through the motion over and over again. Use the handle, saying no, 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 every time he went to put his fingers on the edge of the doors or on the edge of the drawers. And sometimes if he did, I would let him go to the point where it would touch on his fingers, obviously not allowing it to crush or hurt him, but to show him that his fingers would be trapped. And literally within a day of me going through these motions with him, showing him to flatten his hand or to use the handle, he got it. And now he's constantly opening drawers and cupboards, and he has never trapped his fingers, never. The only time he trapped a finger was in a bifold door, which is complicated even for us adults to try and figure out, and he put his hand in the middle fold of the door while trying to close it, and then it trapped his fingers, and that's the only time, but that is complicated. The next thing we did, which actually did work, was the corner covering, because of course they fall over, they throw themselves around, and they have no idea about sharp corners, and so putting those sticky plastic coverings on the corners is an absolute must on your tables and your worktops. And the first set we bought didn't work as well, but we bought a second set. I think it's to do with the adhesive. If you've got good adhesive patches or pads, then that's what you need, and you need to make sure the side is clean when you stick them on. For some reason the first set for us didn't work very well, but the second set did. I'll leave a link to the ones that we found to be the best in the description. And yeah, so we covered all of the obvious sharp corners to make sure that Jacob wasn't going to put a big hole in himself and bashing himself on those. So the next thing we did was to install baby gates on the stairs, because you don't want your little one falling down the stairs. The baby gates we've got, they do the job. They are a little bit tricky for me to open and close. They're not the easiest gates to use, but you know, they were a good price and they do the job, and that's the most important thing. What I did do alongside installing the baby gates was start to show Jacob how to take himself up and down stairs. Again, people said to me this was a stupid idea, don't show him how to climb and up and down stairs because they'll want to do it all the time. But I did. Initially, I started by showing Jacob how to go downstairs on his bottom, shuffling down. But I found that his little legs would get caught underneath. He wouldn't kick them out after every step, so he would end up potentially going forwards. Obviously I was there with him, so he didn't. So I thought, maybe that's not the best way for him to go downstairs. So I tried then turning him around and crawling him backwards towards the top of the stairs, and then crawling him backwards down the stairs, and he got that literally after the first go. I showed him how to do it, and then he could do it, and he loved it. And he actually does go a little bit fast down, but he's on all fours and he's got it. And then we showed him how to get upstairs, crawling up, and he loves doing that too. Now, one day Jacob was asleep in his bedroom and his door was closed. Well, his gate, he's got a baby gate on his bedroom, so his gate was closed, but the top of the stair gate was open. He started to cry, so my partner went in to see him. He realised that he wasn't going to go back to sleep, so he opened up his bedroom gate for him to go out and wander around the upstairs. Distracted, my partner didn't realise the top of the stair gate was open, and Jacob started wandering towards it. As he looked around, he realised Jacob was no longer on the top floor, and he looked down, Jacob was halfway down the stairs. He shouted out to me in a scared panic. I came running out, freaking out, realising what had happened. Luckily, we had just taught him that technique of going downstairs about a week or so before. And so Jacob was happily on all fours, just taking himself down the stairs. My heart literally was in my mouth, and I think what would have happened had I not taught him how to go downstairs so early? He probably would have tried to go either on his bottom front ways, or he would have tried to step down, which he does or did do with other steps before, and he could have ended up going headfirst, tumbling down the stairs. So I am so grateful that I taught him how to do that so early. Obviously, you never want that circumstance where your child is faced at the top of the stairs with no one to hold them back. You don't want that. But sometimes it happens, mistakes happen, accidents happen. So I think the sooner you can teach your kids how to do this stuff safely, the better. Ideally, they'll never do it unaccompanied until they're much bigger, but you know, these things happen. Anyway, so that is the extent of our baby proofing for the house. We may add a toilet lock onto that list of things for baby proofing, only because he has an obsession now with the water in the bottom of the toilet, and he likes to put his hands in the toilet, which is not ideal. And so if I can control when he opens the toilet and when he's there playing with it, he's not actually sticking his hands inside it, that would be great. So I may add a toilet lock on. If you know of any good toilet locks, please leave them in the comments. And if you have anything to add to the baby proofing chat, then please do add it down below. Okay, I hope this was helpful. I'll see you in the next video, hopefully. Bye.